1 year ago, we put a face on the nation's growing opioid crisis with an in-depth report from New Hampshire, perhaps the hardest hit state in the country when it comes to this issue. Tonight we go back to see where things stand. Here's senior correspondent Rick Leventhal.
Apartment 1W, an unresponsive person.
First responders get the call multiple times a day, unresponsive person. In Manchester, New Hampshire, it's code for someone deep in the clutches of an overdose.
Last month was our highest month with overdoses. We had 118, and we had 11 deaths.
When we were here a year ago, this city was battling an opioid epidemic. The streets flooded with heroin and the far more powerful fentanyl.
We formed a strike force here, and we're pushing cases down to the source, to the folks that are actually the command and control, the ones that are making decisions that are really affecting life in New Hampshire. That's who we're targeting.
What drug are you using, just so we can help you?
In the last 12 months, things have gotten worse. ODs in broad daylight have become commonplace. In August, during a phone conversation with the president of Mexico, President Trump called New Hampshire a drug-infested den. The state's lawmakers didn't like the harsh words, but admit they need assistance, repeatedly promised during the presidential campaign.
And we're going to help the people that are so badly addicted.
But that help, specifically federal funds for treatment programs, has been slow to arrive.
Really, right now, if it wasn't for private donors, we certainly wouldn't be doing Safe Station. I'm pretty certain of that.
Safe Station opened the doors of every Manchester firehouse to any addict desperate for help. The program drew national attention and an invite to the chief for a meeting with the First Lady in Washington.
She showed a lot of compassion, and she wanted to understand the depths of the problem and kind of see what we're seeing on the streets, which was encouraging.
Since it was launched in August 2016, Safe Station has helped roughly 2,500 people, more than half of them from outside the city, like this man who took a taxi from the northern part of the state.
I'd like to better myself for my family and just stop everybody from wearing it.
Next week, President Trump will declare the opioid epidemic a national crisis.
For New Hampshire, where we've been pretty hard hit and a lot of promises were made right here on this turf, I don't think we're seeing much, or if something is happening, we're just not aware of it yet.
This week, Governor Chris Sununu announced $150,000 in new funding for local rehab programs, acknowledging the severity of the issue.
A bunch of bureaucrats and the governor aren't going to solve the drug crisis, but folks on the front lines of this, folks in recovery, actually telling their stories and giving examples of what works and doesn't work, that's how you really start making a difference.
Dennis is a prime example. When we met him last year, he was just beginning his path to recovery.
People need hope. If they feel like nothing they do matters, or if there's no way out of it, there's no reason to change, But if people provide them hope and a realistic way to get out of that lifestyle, they will go for it.
Dennis lost his wife to an OD, lost his home and lost custody of his son, but says he's turned his life around. He's clean and sober. He's got a roof over his head and a full-time job. But he's more the exception than the rule. Officials in Manchester say they're overwhelmed by the sheer volume of addicts and say the emergency response system is being stretched to the breaking point. Brett?
An amazing look 1 year later. Rick Leventhal live in Manchester. Rick, thank you.